All right. Welcome everybody to the February 25th Working Group LTS meeting. We have a pretty short agenda. Let me present that if I can. There we go. We do have an annual report due. I think we were asked to get that in by the end of the month. There's a draft open that was mentioned last time. I will just hoist that up and mention that. I will try to get to that in the next couple days, but if anyone else wants to jump into the drafts and help add links or fill out some other things, that would be appreciated. It's not, it's pretty lightweight, so we'll just get whatever we have in and submitted by the end of the month, and it'll be fine. But if anyone else wants to add details, that would be great. All right, we've got a couple folks. Rita, and I don't recognize the other name. If you are here, hello, welcome. If you'd like to introduce yourself, welcome.
Yes. Hello. So I'm Konstantinos. People usually call me Kos because it's shorter. I'm with Canonical, and with us also we have a couple of more people from Canonical. I will let them present themselves.
Okay. Welcome.
Hello, I'm Ben. Benjamin's also too long, so just go with Ben. And I'm also part of Canonical in the Kubernetes team, and they're happy to join today. Hi, everybody.
Welcome.
Hey everyone, I'm Vyom. I also work at Canonical in the security team. I also have been a part of the release team since 1.27, and I recently got into the SRC as well.
Excellent. Glad you guys are here. All right. Kaz, Rita, you want to you have the floor for the topic.
Yep. Real quick. So as we put in the agenda, there was an announcement for the 12-year LTS from Canonical for Kubernetes LTS. It'll be a good time to just have these folks share what they are planning to do.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, what components are getting backported, and if there's any opportunity for collaboration.
Sure. So yes, there was an announcement earlier this week, last week. No, it wasn't. I don't remember what it was. Okay.
Like a month ago at this point.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Perk is also here. Perk is the product manager of our team. Perk, you want to introduce yourself?
Yep. Hey, I joined the LTS group. I think around a year ago for a couple of meetings, and I unfortunately couldn't do it. But it's nice to see you again, folks.
Nice. Cool. So there was this announcement. First, let me go through what is included in the Canonical LTS. Obviously, Kubernetes 1.32. Then there is a set of core features that include a network, a CNI, an implementation of Ingress and Gateway API, a load balancer, and local storage. Okay, and a way to provide local volumes. All of these things are packaged inside the snap, which means that inside the snap you will find the snap is built on top of an LTS Ubuntu. So this is also part of the LTS. Now, I've told you about Kubernetes. The core features, we keep them a bit, we don't mention exactly what they are, but if you look closely, you will definitely see that the CNI that we are using is Cilium. And Cilium is also used for Ingress and the Gateway API. The load balancer is MetalLB, and the local storage is the local storage provider, the local PV from OpenEBS. Okay. We keep them a bit, we don't mention exactly what these core features are made of, so that we have the option in the future to swap them out or update them to something that better suits our needs. Okay, because as you understand, 12 years is a long period, so there might be situations where we may want to swap something, one implementation of a feature for another. Okay. Okay. Support is 12 years, and it is under Ubuntu Pro, which of course comes with which is free for the first 5 nodes for everyone. Okay. Also important here is that the Kubernetes version is one that is selected. It's not that we will be supporting for 12 years every Kubernetes version. No, we follow the Ubuntu releases, and in Ubuntu, every 2 years you get an LTS. Similarly, you will have one LTS Kubernetes every 2 years. Okay. And by LTS, I mean 12-year LTS. Okay. Okay, so okay, so this comes under Ubuntu, obviously. Okay, so it's not something that Canonical is doing for the first time. Canonical is supporting Ubuntu for 10, 12 years. So it's not something for us, something new for us to start supporting a software for the first time. Practically, at a very high level, what we had to do is to onboard in this support mechanism that Canonical has, the Kubernetes packages. Okay, and let me go through at a very high level how this support is actually delivered. Okay, let's say that a user or a customer, or there is a scan that identifies something that needs to be patched. It might be a bug, it might be a vulnerability, and as you understand, this check, this bug report, does not include only the leaf of the dependency tree that we have. It can be anywhere in the dependencies of Kubernetes or in the dependencies of the core features that we have. Okay. So as soon as we identify we need to patch something, the affected repositories obviously need to be forked. It might be that they might run out of support. Obviously, upstream support, I mean. Obviously, for 13 years, we don't expect that the repositories will be there forever or will be active. So what we do is we need to apply a patch. In that case, if it is an easy patch, meaning if there is a bump version, a patch bump version that we have to do, we do that. If there is something that is more involving, we appoint engineers to actually implement the patch. And then as soon as this patch is produced, this triggers the build process. And through this build process of the affected artifacts, we go through the testing of the affected components. Of course, this is a big issue. This differs on where this patch is what components this patch affects. There might be cases where it is on the Ubuntu core, so specific the affected packages need to be tested. In the case of Kubernetes, we will use the suite of the test suite of Kubernetes. Probably not all of it. Probably we will not be doing the scale testing. But at this point, it's not clear what needs to be tested because we are talking about a hypothetical situation. We will have to see at that point what we need to test. Then test pass, we have a new release. As we said, the new release is in the form of a snap, which means that it is the snap, by the way, it is a fat package. It is a package that brings all of its dependencies. So this reduces the amount of targets that we need to test. Okay. And yes, the release happens. There is a new snap in the respective channel, and all of this is in place now. Given that there is an upstream project that maintains the specific components that got patched, we submit the patch to the latest branch that there is over there. Okay. Any questions until now? And then I will talk about how upgrades happen. Okay. So let me move on with the...
Wait, maybe we should discuss a couple of the questions that people have added to the doc before we move on to
sure.
questions. I think Jordan has a few of them.
I'm fine either way. If he has content prepared, it might answer some of the questions as we go. So I'm
on the last page.
Yeah, go. How about if you just finish up and then we'll accumulate questions and
awesome. Okay.
Thank you.
So upgrades, of course, we are very much interested into an LTS to LTS upgrade. As I told you before, the LTS releases happen every 2 years. So that means that, and because of the Kubernetes queue and dependency, versions queue and the dependencies not the dependencies, the versions queue of Kubernetes, we cannot jump through releases. And this means that when we upgrade, even from LTS to LTS, we will have to go through the intermediate releases. Okay. So the intermediate releases will be there for a reasonable amount of time, will be supported properly and patched for a reasonable amount of time, so that everyone that wants to do an LTS to LTS upgrade will be able to do so through a path that is properly patched. If someone is, obviously, we will not take out of the snap channels the releases that have gone out of support. They will still be there. But if the user decides to, at a very late stage, to do an LTS to LTS release, probably he will have to go through a path that might not include fully patched Kubernetes versions. That's about it. I do not have anything else. I have a few points that we can discuss as a community. Yes, that's it. Okay. Shall we go through the questions, or do you want to step forward and ask the questions yourselves? Should I read them?
Yeah, let's just start at the top and kind of work our way through. You mentioned not really advertising the implementations of the features you bundle so you could theoretically swap them out if needed. I'm curious if you do work to hide the implementations. Like a lot of those make use of APIs and custom resources, and if you looked in the cluster, it would be very obvious what the
Yes.
implementation was.
Yes. No. We don't hide anything, and this is intentional, right? We want to stay as close as to what the upstream project is.
Mm-hmm.
But we also want to be able to switch an implementation of a feature for something else in the future.
Okay.
But if you do snap install K8s right now, you will get the LTS, and you will definitely see there that the CNI is Cilium. If you enable the ingress or the gateway API, you will see that it is implemented through Cilium. The load balancer is Metal LB.
Okay.
Yeah, we definitely do not try to hide anything.
In theory, the ability to switch out an implementation sounds nice. As soon as there's an API, it seems like it would be impossible to switch it out without breaking users who were reading from that API or writing to particular options, unless you also fully supported the old API shimmed to the new implementation. But
we do not. So when we say LTS, we are not saying that we will be backporting API changes or backporting features. Okay, we expect that the user is aware that when he moves from one version to another, APIs change, and therefore there might be changes required on his part, from his part on the workload that he runs. Okay. Again, 12 years is too long. I definitely expect that there will be many such cases. We will try our best to keep the users into an easily upgrade path. Okay.
We can jump to the next question. Someone had asked about upgrades. So it sounds like you are not planning to do skip version upgrades because of the Kubernetes lack of support and underlying projects like Cilium, and like many of the projects you mentioned expect version by version upgrades.
Yes,
so you mentioned upgrading through intermediate releases.
Yes.
Can you talk more about upgrading through versions that are not patched? You said if they upgrade at a very late stage.
Yes. So okay, so we said that for an upgrade to happen from an LTS to LTS, the user has to go through intermediate Kubernetes releases. Obviously, the intermediate Kubernetes releases will not be supported for 12 years. Okay, but we will definitely give the user a fair amount of time to jump from one LTS to another. Okay, let's say a year. Okay, during that period, we will make sure that all of the Kubernetes versions, the intermediate versions, are properly patched and supported by Canonical, so that the path that the user needs to follow will be through fully patched and secure Kubernetes releases. However, we said that not all Kubernetes releases will be LTS. This means that if you decide, if it's like 10 years after you initially installed Kubernetes and you decide to upgrade to the next LTS, the intermediate versions will not be fully supported by Canonical. Okay. we will make sure that they will be there. Okay, so that will be possible, but the user will have to go through a path that includes the Kubernetes release that are not patched.
Okay, so it sounds like there are two ways that users could make use of this LTS stream. One is by moving from one LTS to the next LTS roughly when it becomes available, or shortly after the next LTS becomes available, within a year or two. And at that point, the intermediate versions would still be patched. So if they are planning to upgrade and don't want to upgrade through unpatched versions, they should upgrade to the next LTS.
Correct. Yes.
When it's available. When
yes.
The other mode is getting all of the life out of the LTS version for 10 years or 12 years. And at that point, there wouldn't be an upgrade path for them that would keep them patched and supported during the upgrade.
Yes, during the upgrade. So whatever period there is, like, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours, depends on how big the upgrade is. For that period of time, they will have to come up with other kinds of mitigations to handle the risk of performing this upgrade. But yes, so we haven't been there, but someone may bet that if you are 12 years late, you will probably not upgrade to the next LTS. You will just redeploy your Kubernetes to.
Yep. Okay. We can move on to the next question. I'm not sure who asked this. If you want to just let it be read or read it yourself. I don't know.
Sorry, the question about security only. I mean, you guys said that you would be going through versions that are unsupported. So I think that's probably a moot question at this point. But I would assume, like, if you have a critical defect in 132 that gets patched and you still have to upgrade through the versions in between that are no longer supported, it would not be patched in 133 through 135.
Yes, correct.
Or do you make any special considerations for functional rather than security issues?
Not at this point.
Okay.
But we have to make sure, we do make sure that the upgrade will continue. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Presumably, the majority of issues like that would be flushed out and caught and fixed during the normal support period when the intermediate versions were still getting fixes.
Correct.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Okay. I'm curious what Go version you are planning to use to build these. Are you updating the LTS branches to be able to build with new Go versions, or are you maintaining multiple older Go versions with security patches for building these?
So the expectation is that we. Okay, so this is a good question, and it comes up with on Ubuntu as well. It's not a matter only of Go in particular, but any package that that needs to be updated. So Canonical has the first thing that we try to do is to patch the already existing version of the package that is in the Ubuntu archives. Okay. So our intention is to keep the same Go version. Okay. If we start switching Go versions, there might be other side effects that we may not even catch into in our test. So we'd rather keep the same Go version. Okay. Now, in rare cases, there might be that a package needs to be backported from one LTS to the previous one. Okay, and of course I'm mentioning here package. You can replace package with Go. Okay, for us Go is another package. Okay, so our intention is to keep the right Go version to build the respective Kubernetes. We don't intend to upgrade the Go version.
Okay, that answers my question. It sounds like it's keeping the Go package patched.
Yes.
Is the expectation. So Go has biannual releases. So 12 years is 24 Go releases. Just historically, the cadence of security fixes in Go has been higher, faster than security fixes in Kubernetes. For every security fix in Kubernetes, we probably have 4 or 5 security fixes that have come in patch releases of Go. But I'm maybe this is an existing, if Go is an existing package, has Canonical already been maintaining and backporting all of the security fixes for the Go package in LTS releases already? I guess possibly.
So I'm aware that there is a Go Snap. This is what we are using. Okay. I'll need to talk. So okay. So as I told you, this is what Canonical. Right now, you're talking to the Kubernetes team, the team that is responsible for the Kubernetes product. Okay. Gotcha. There are other teams that take care of different parts of the ecosystem and different packages. The Go runtime, I know it is part of the foundations team. So I need to talk to them. I'm pretty sure that they are aware that we are shipping an LTS. I'm pretty sure I know that they will be taking care of the specific Kubernetes versions that we are talking about.
Okay. We can jump to the next question. There was a question about kernel compatibility for some of the components like Cilium. So the Ubuntu, what is the lifetime of the Ubuntu LTS kernel? Is that, I thought it was 5 years. Am I making that up?
So Ubuntu has 5 years of support public, and then it comes to extended ESM, extended support. What is the M for? Berg? Anyway, and then there is 5 more years.
What is the end? Because under Ubuntu Pro, you get for Kubernetes, for Ubuntu specifically, that is 5 years plus 5 years plus 2, meaning that you get 5 years of support, then additional 5 years of additional security maintenance, then 2 years of legacy support.
So that aligns with the 12 years. So the expectation is you wouldn't be switching kernels. Like if you wanted to make use of the full 12 years and keep Cilium on the same kernel the whole time, you could.
Exactly, yeah, with all the components being at the same version of the release time.
Okay. All right. I think we made it through all the questions people had written as you were talking. Were there other questions that people had that occurred to them during the discussion that just opened it up at this point?
I can add something for the Golang. We patch Golang in the Ubuntu archive. The snap right now is not patched. The Debian package is. The idea is to backport some of those patches to the snap as well. So because the Kubernetes snap consumes the Golang snap, The snap is not patched right now. It is rolled with the upstream. We patch Golang, but we haven't patched each and every vulnerability in Golang. Usually so if there's an upstream patch for a critical or high vulnerability, that gets higher priority. We try to patch medium vulnerabilities with best effort. But if there is a vulnerability that a customer wants to be patched for Golang, then we can do that. So that's the general cadence we follow for Golang patching.
Someone just added a question. Are there plans to backport any other CNCF projects?
I'm not aware of any such plans. But again, it's you are talking to the Kubernetes team. There might be other teams that have these plans.
Going back to
sorry, Jordan. One thing to add, because that is except for Kubernetes and Cilium and Core DNS and Metric Server.
Mhm.
So we are talking about the other CNCF projects because those are CNCF as well.
Yes, right. The ones that are packaged, bundled to get a working Kubernetes cluster.
Yeah, so all those will be maintained. Yeah.
A question about the upgrade process. How do you manage the upgrade, or is the customer initiating each step of the upgrade? So if they have to get from one LTS to another, are they doing 6 bump commands, or are they doing 1 bump command, which under the covers moves through all 6 steps?
Right. So it will. Okay, so this is what we support. Okay, and as I told you, this is the snap itself. Okay, here at this point, we do not include any kind of orchestration on top of the snap. Okay. As Canonical, we do offer orchestration with Cluster API and Juju. Okay. These tools are able to perform upgrades cluster-wide. In the case of a snap, the upgrade will have to be manual. The user will have to go through its node and upgrade version by version. I think this is fair, considering that every user might have its own way of deploying the Kubernetes artifacts.
Yeah, I was just curious, especially if there are things that the user has to adjust to in order to make that transition. Sometimes, like,
yes,
sometimes it's very difficult to make something that works with 2 Kubernetes versions 2 years apart. And so there's sort of an intermediate step where you have to make some change. And I didn't know if you expected the user to be able to pause at a point in the middle and make that change. So that
So yes, you're absolutely right. It is expected that during the upgrade, as we go through intermediate releases, the user might need to adjust his workloads, update his workloads, do some configuration changes, and therefore it is expected that we will go through each intermediate version in a step-by-step fashion. Okay, there's not going to be LTS to LTS. It is more risky to do that. Unless, of course, this group comes up, or the Kubernetes comes up with a way to skip version upgrades, in which case we will definitely be using this feature.
Yeah, and the underlying bundled packages.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Are there other questions? We're about at the end of our time. I think Micah added a link to like a draft for future discussion. We probably won't have time to do that justice, but I did want to make sure people saw that and took a look at it, and we can queue up that discussion. Were there any other questions for the Canonical folks or feedback from the Canonical folks to us? You mentioned the skip version upgrade being a thing you would use if it was available. Yeah, go ahead.
So,
Can I add one thing to that?
Yeah.
Because we were talking about those other sensitive projects, and I think it is important to say that it is a very good question, because usually you just use Kubernetes and then on top of other, many other projects and we do have ability and we do provide a service of backporting changes and providing the 12-year LTS also for those other components as well. That's a paid service. It's not done by default and it's on demand, but it's still there, meaning that if you use Cert Manager, and you most probably you will, or any other Argo CD or whatnot, we do have that. So customers are not left with the rest of the stack being insecure.
One comment from me. As you can see in the proposal attached in this document in the notes, the Kubernetes LTS sub-project proposal, we will definitely stand behind this type of efforts, and we will contribute to the proportional to our size, obviously. Okay, but we would definitely support this kind of activities.
I did have a question if you can scroll to the top. So I noticed in the highlighted area, I didn't notice in the blog it mentioned Istio. But you haven't talked about Istio at all. Is that
So that's this thing that I've mentioned just before with the everything LTS. There are some components that we consider crucial. Istio, Cert Manager. So we do have a machinery to provide the 12-year LTS. For some of those components, we'll most probably provide support under Ubuntu Pro, and we'll build those images ourselves. But I am pretty sure we do that for Istio already, meaning that if you use Istio, you would be able to get the 12 years LTS for it as well. And Cert Manager and for other components like like Harbor, for example, we can build an image for you, and then we can provide the 12-year LTS for it as well.
Okay, thanks.
OpenTelemetry Collector will be another example of high visibility and high important product that will be covered.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining and walking us through that. It's always good to get answers to questions that we've talked about a lot and wrestled with a lot, and it's good to hear from like the technical folks involved and understand the details of what you're planning. All right, I think we'll wrap it up there. Micah, maybe you could send this doc out to the mailing list as well, and maybe some of the other SIGs, just to get a broader audience, more eyes on it.
Will do.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. It's good discussion, and we'll see you online. And just a reminder, if anyone wants to help put details in the annual summary, be appreciated. I'll be wrapping that up this week.
Thank you very much.
It's linked from there.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. See you around.
Bye.